Hello and welcome. My name is Hydro Kimono, and today I want to do something a little bit different. For those of you who want to get to know me a little bit better and know kind of what I'm about, this one is for you. So first off, I wanted to talk about something that's a little more personal than maybe the rest of the stuff I'm going to talk about, and it's something that people ask me about a lot, and that is why I don't drink. So whenever I'm out and with a bunch of friends and everybody's drinking, I don't usually get alcohol, and everybody asks me why. And the truth of the matter is that I used to drink a lot way back when, and especially after I turned 21, like most people do, you go a little bit crazy, and I just kind of got to the point where I was drinking way too much all the time, and kind of borderlining on alcoholism. I would get to the point where I would get off of work, go straight to the liquor store or grocery store, whatever is open at that hour, and get the cheapest, biggest bottle of hard liquor that I could find. And I would just drink by myself all night and just have no communication with anybody else, and that's all I did. So right there was sort of a problem. And then later on I started mixing that with painkillers and different prescription drugs, and that is where the real problems lie. The drinking kind of made me depressed, and I was already going through a lot of really bad stuff in my own life, which just compounded, and adding all that stuff together just made it a really bad situation. I think that there was a big part of me that really just wanted to die, and that might have been my way of sort of an easy suicide, if you will. So I got to a point where I was laying in bed one night after taking just way too many pills and a huge bottle of alcohol, and I felt my heart slow down and slow down and slow down, and then finally just sort of like I couldn't feel it for a while. And so that kind of freaked me out a little bit, and then like a week later maybe I threw up a bunch of blood after drinking all this stuff. So that was enough to kind of scare me straight, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And it really killed any kind of craving that I had for alcohol. Not that I'm against it or anything like that, but every once in a while I'll have a drink if I'm out with friends, but it's pretty rare. Also, I don't do any drugs either. I did way back in the day, and mostly it was just smoking a lot of weed. And I did that for a really long time and totally enjoyed it. It was totally fine. But then I got to a point where just my brain couldn't handle it anymore, and I got paranoid every single time I tried to smoke, no matter how good it was. I used to think that it was one of those things where it was only the really cheap weed that was maybe laced with something else that was causing that effect, but then I was smoking really, really good, really, really clean stuff, and same effect. So that was it just wasn't mixing with the chemicals in my brain properly, I guess, and it just made me really overly paranoid. So I'd probably still be doing it if I could, but it just doesn't mix well. So unfortunately, that's what happened. So pretty much all I do now is smoke cigarettes. That's it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is I'm not really a religious person. It's cool if other people are. That's totally fine. I definitely am more on the side of like Buddhism, Hinduism, and to me that's more like just a way of living than religions. I mean, they are religions, but studying those two especially has just really opened up my eyes to a whole bunch of just different things. And I think it really has made me a better person, and I really treat people a lot better. I think I'm a lot happier, and I think that shows. And just learning all these different things about those two in particular, and really trying to apply that to my own life, I think has done a lot for me. It hasn't given me a ton of success or anything like that, but I think it's definitely changed me as a person, which is the most important thing. The way you treat other people is really important. I think prior to that, maybe I was looking at things way too negatively and just really my perspective was completely off. After studying those, I think my perspective is definitely more on point, and I think I look at people a lot more differently now, and I'm definitely a lot more compassionate. So that's definitely a good thing. If anybody is even remotely interested in either one of those, I highly recommend checking out, just getting a couple books or something on those religions. They're really fascinating, and I think that they are worth a look at the very least. The next thing I want to talk about is just this sort of like art that I'm into. I don't paint or draw, although I'd love to. I know a lot of people who are really good artists in that sense, and it's never been something that I've ever really been good at. I really enjoy photography. That's really my main hobby. I don't get to do it as much as I would like, but you know, I mean, who has all the time in the world to do that kind of stuff, especially when you got to work a job. And obviously I like doing these types of videos, you know, on my YouTube channel and all that. So this kind of thing just came natural because I love to talk. So doing vlogs just sort of made sense. You know, I got a camera that I'm doing photography with, so why not just use the video function? But yeah, photography has been something that I've always liked. It's only been in the last few years though that I actually had enough money to buy a really good camera and really get out there and see what I could do. So it's a learning process, obviously, as any photographer will tell you. It's, you know, constantly learning stuff and trying to push yourself to do new and interesting things. So I've sort of put that on the back burner though in lieu of this, and I really want to get more into video editing and things like that and be more creative with videos. But that could also apply to my photos too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll get better and better and better at that. As far as what I do for a living, I work in retail. So it's something I've been doing for like 13, 14 years, way too long. Since the first year I started in retail, I said that was going to be my last year, and yet here I am. It's just pure laziness. I'm just too lazy to get out there and try to look for another job that might be better, but here I am. I do like a lot of aspects of retail. I think that you meet a lot of really cool people, and obviously you meet a lot of really bad people too. But it's cool to be able to talk to people, especially if you work someplace that you enjoy what you sell. Then you can actually talk to people about that kind of stuff. So it's cool getting recommendations from other people, and then you're able to say, like, you should really check this out. I think you really like it. And then they come back a few days later and they're like, oh, I loved it. Do you have any more recommendations for me? So that's always that's always a cool thing too. I used to be in a few different bands. I've played guitar, bass, and sang. Singing for a band is obviously the most fun. Playing guitar was cool too, but it's never that. And playing bass, I didn't really take the time to really learn. I mean, I learned enough to get by, but I never really took it that seriously. Whereas singing, I wrote a lot of lyrics. I really tried to work on my voice, and I definitely took that a little bit more seriously. Getting on any kind of stage is just nerve-wracking. No matter how many times you do it. Not that I got on a lot, but it's just, even if it's a lot of your friends are out there, it's still like you just get the butterflies and all that. It's just like, oh man, I hope I sound good tonight. So I haven't done that in years, but I thought about kind of getting back into that and maybe getting a computer program and making my own beats and just putting some vocals over it. I could just do that from my laptop. So we'll see what happens. But on the subject of music though, it's mostly what I listen to is metal and hip hop, with some electronica here and there depending on the group. But mostly if I'm listening to something, it's usually going to be either rap, just the usual stuff. 50 Cent, Biggie, Tupac, Eminem, stuff like that, or metal, like some Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Slipknot, Static X, those kind of groups. So that's really something that I grew up on. At an early age, I discovered hip hop, and then probably junior high, I discovered heavy metal. So it's just those have been my two favorite genres of music ever since I was a little kid. Although when I was really little, all I listened to was Weird Al. That's pretty much all my parents would let me listen to. They wouldn't let me listen to any kind of real music, unless it was like Elvis or the Beatles or something like that. So anything I want to listen to aside from that, it was pretty much nothing but Weird Al. So, although I don't really care for his music now, it's kind of weird. But hopefully that is a little window into me and who I am. And hopefully you enjoy watching this. All right, thanks a lot. Have a good night.